Trevor Reed's an American, former U.S. Marine. No, he is still a Marine. He spent nearly 3 years in a Russian prison. He is free today, released in the swap between the U.S. and Moscow. I want to bring in former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, also a Fox News contributor. Sir, good morning to you. And let's begin with this topic. And seems like an extraordinary time, especially given the events of the world today. Why would this swap occur now, do you think?
Well, good morning, Bill. Good morning, Dana. First, it's great to have Trevor home. They were bogus charges. He should have never been held. This was something that we had been working on as well. I'm glad that the Biden administration was able to get him home. It's an important task for the United States leaders to get every American citizen who's wrongfully detained back home. So that's always the right place to start. My sense is this was pretty discreet, that this doesn't indicate anything that has much to do with what Vladimir Putin's doing, his aggression in Ukraine today. My guess is this was a diplomatic issue both folks wanted to get off the table, and the Biden administration desperately wanted to get Trevor home. And I'm thrilled he's back. I'm happy for him and for his family. I think this is good news. I never like trading folks. It only encourages the bad guys. We saw this ourselves. So I regret that, but these are tough decisions, and I'm happy that Trevor Reed is home with his family today.
No doubt this was on your mind when you were Secretary of State. Here are the parents of Trevor Reed's reaction.
Our hearts were a little broken when we found out that it wasn't going to, the deal was not going to include Paul. And so our hearts go out to them. As far as Brittany's family goes, we're going to decline to speak about her because we think that that's what her people want. But we hope that the Whelan family is going to be having a reunion just like ours soon.
Can I ask you about those others? Because I know this was a really high priority for you at the State Department when you were in office, and for President Trump as well, trying to bring people like this home. Now, we know that, for example, Brittany and Paul, they are there in Russia. There are others possibly there that you know about. Would this Trevor Reed release portend that possibly the others would be released as well?
Dana, I pray that it is so. It was a real priority for us. We were trying to get Austin Tice home from Syria. We got some folks back from Iran. One of the highlights of my time in service was getting those 3 Americans who had been wrongfully detained in North Korea who flew back from me from Pyongyang. And the fact that Paul Whelan is still being held wrongfully in Russia just breaks my heart. I hope that this means that we have further conversations with the Russians. We can get both Brittany and Paul back home to their families. It would be a lovely thing and really important for the United States. So I hope they get it done.
Yeah, certainly would. Paul Whelan's been held there for 3 years as well. Another topic now. Putin's promising lightning-fast strikes on any country that interferes, in his words. Meanwhile, on screen, guys call for 3. We've committed well over $3 billion at this cause, and I think it's safe to assume that number is only going to go higher, and perhaps precipitously so. Earlier today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Moscow tweeting about the eastern section of Moldova. And they're going to conduct some sort of investigation about an incident that happened earlier this week. That's a clear signal now that there is a very good chance of this war being even wider. Would you agree on that or not?
Bill, I do think Vladimir Putin is sending a very clear signal. We should listen to him. We should listen to his words. I wish this administration had listened to his words back in the fall when it was pretty clear his intentions, and we had begun this support for the Ukrainian people back in the fall when we could have really done a lot of good, and the Ukrainians could have even been more successful than we've seen them be to date. I think it's absolutely the case that while there are many applauding the success of the Ukrainians, I think it's been remarkable. Vladimir Putin's intentions have no indication that he's going to change. He wants to restore Greater Russia, whether that's Moldova or Transnistria, or to expand out of Kaliningrad, someplace in Europe. You can imagine Sweden, Finland also being on edge. Putin's intentions, he has made incredibly clear. And when he talks about lightning strikes, I think he's responding to the fact that the United States has done anything but respond in a lightning quick way. We have been slow. We have been late. And I think he now views himself as more successful. If he can be fast, if he can be quick, because he thinks the West and NATO and Europe will be slow to respond. We shouldn't forget, the Europeans are still buying natural gas from Russia. They are underwriting this conflict every day. When you hear Vladimir Putin say that, the recognition that we have to go campaign with the Europeans to deliver them the energy they need so they are no longer under the coercive jackboot of Vladimir Putin.
It's interesting. Yesterday we had Neil Ferguson on, and he said in order to actually have deterrence theory work, you have to show that you are willing to be a deterrent. And do you see that that is a problem for us right now?
Now, Dana, I think the evidence of the atrocities we've seen in Ukraine, the fact that Vladimir Putin chose to do this on the watch of the current Chancellor of Germany and under this president, I think it's very clear we lost capstone deterrence. We worked very hard when I was Secretary of State to make sure that all the bad guys, Jeremy Kim, Xi Jinping, the Ayatollah, each of them understood that the United States was serious and determined. When they began to move, we crushed the Taliban. When Iran was going to kill more Americans, we took Qasem Soleimani from the battlefield. Those are the kinds of things that demonstrate American resolve, not words, not meetings in Europe at beautiful places in Brussels, but actual actions that demonstrate that you're prepared to protect the things that matter to America.
Sir, thank you for your time. And we'll speak again very soon.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Dana.